Hello everyone, it's Joe here from Snake Draft FPL, and today we are talking about the most important thing, the most critical thing to winning your draft FPL league. And no, it is not your performance at the draft, it is the waivers. So as I said, I do think the most important thing in draft is not your original squad, but it's the transactions you make throughout the year. And this is borne out by, I play 5 or 6 draft leagues every year, and every year without fail, the people in the top 2 or 3 positions are the players that have made consistent waivers over the course of the year. And you can almost always predict the outcome of the league literally in transaction number order. It can be that closely correlated. It is so important that you make consistent, good, aggressive waivers throughout the course of the year. And today I'm going to go through my strategy of how I do that to make sure that my waivers throughout the entire year are effective. If you enjoy the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more. Check out the Patreon in the link down below. Throughout the course of the season, every single game week, we're going to have articles on waiver picks, under the radar picks with very low ownership that will definitely be available for you to pick up, as well as some trade target discussion and things like that. So make sure you check that out. So first things first, you definitely need to have a strategy, and this has kind of come to me over the course of the seasons, especially playing multiple leagues. It can take quite a long time to sort of work out your waivers and the best way to do it. So there's a few things that I like to do in order to make sure that I'm picking up the right players and dropping the right players every week. And when you're playing across multiple leagues, it is more important to make sure that that is right. If you're playing in just one league, most of the time you know who's free, you know who's selected in what team. So there's just always that little bit more awareness. But when you are in multiple leagues, it can get a little bit more clouded. So the way I like to go about it generally is this. The first step is identifying your weaknesses. And there's 2 things I really mean by that. Players that are injured or suspended or have lost their place in the team and are definitely not going to play. Or players that are, mediocre assets, definitely droppable, and they have a terrible run of fixtures. They're the 2 real weaknesses I mean, not necessarily just like, I could probably do better. These are like key weaknesses that you must transfer out. Someone that's suspended, someone that's injured, someone that's gone to Atletico Madrid, someone that is not a great asset anyway and has terrible fixtures. These are players that must go, and that is the first step in my waiver process. How many players do I have that absolutely need to go? Then I know exactly what positions I'm definitely going to be wavering in. Is it 1 midfielder, 1 defender, 2 defenders, 2 midfielders? Then I've got like a bare minimum of definitely what I need to pick up. The next stage is I'll hit the waiver tab and see who's free, and I'll just have a quick glance through. Generally I'll sort this by previous game week points or form or something like that, and just scroll through and check that there aren't any players available that I should be definitely getting in, regardless of if I've got anyone to get rid of. And 2 examples I've got on the screen here. Cole Palmer last season, there was a period in around about, I think, game week 3, game week 4, where he was still quite lowly owned, but it was pretty obvious he was going to be a serious draft pick. And it was at that stage that every single person should have done exactly this. Scrolled through, seen, is he free in this league? I'm not sure. Yes, there he is. I'm putting in a waiver for him. Same thing happened with Matoma the year before. Luckily, I was on that a little bit early, so I did manage to get him in almost every team I had. But this is something I always do regardless of what I'm getting rid of. Just check there isn't anyone unexpected. Like sometimes people in your league will drop players that you really wouldn't expect. You wouldn't see it coming. People make crazy decisions sometimes. So I always have a little scroll through just to make sure there aren't any absolute gems to be picked up. The next thing I'll do is look at short-term options. So these are players that are going to do well over the next 1 to 2 game weeks. That's really what I'm looking for. The first thing I'll do is I'll go to my cheat sheet that I create for the Patreons, and I'll look at the players with the highest clean sheet percentages. So I've got an example of here, one of my cheat sheet odds sheets from last season, where look at the clean sheet percentages and see if there are any outstanding defences that I can pick up. I'll then check the short-term fixtures to make sure that, well, not necessarily make sure, is it just a 1 week punt? Have they got fixtures for a couple of good weeks? That would mean I'm more likely to go for them over another team that might have a similar odds for this week if they've got 2 good fixtures instead of 1, for instance. On the attacking side, I'll look at teams that are more than likely to get multiple goals. And that is something I definitely look at to see if there are any teams, for instance, in this one, Bournemouth 58% chance to score 2 or more goals. That means the likes of Kluivert, Semenyo, those types of players are often free. I'll look to see if any of them are available because they have a decent involvement in Bournemouth's goals. And that way I can be reasonably confident I've got a chance of getting an attacking return that week. During this stage as well, I'll also go back to my team and double check. So if I've filled the gaps of the players that absolutely must go, I'll look back over my team and see if there are any players with fixtures that I could improve on. Players that I'm happy to drop that I don't necessarily need to keep. Especially defenders from sort of mid to lower table teams. I'll look at, can I improve on my clean sheet chance this week? And if I can, then I'll take a look at what's available in the short-term options. Same with midfielders. If they've got a bad fixture or they've just not been performing, then I'll have a look to see if I can improve that likelihood of an attacking return that game week. If all that's sorted, I'll then have a look at the following game weeks, so maybe 2 to 3 game weeks beyond the current one, and just check that my fixtures aren't going to be absolutely diabolical. I'll just have a quick, I won't spend too much time on this, but if my team looks good and say I've got 5 defenders, all with a good fixture this game week, well, I'm not going to play all 5. I'm highly likely I'm only going to play 3. Say my 5th defender is a Forest defender and they've got an okay fixture this game week, but it's the 5th best fixture of my defenders, so they're going to be 2nd or 3rd on the bench. I'll then look to think, well, okay, I'm going to bench them this game week anyway, so I don't really need the good fixture. How are their fixtures going forward? Will I need them in the following game weeks? Because it might be that all my defenders have good fixtures this week, but next week there might be a team that I can bench this game week and play in the following game week, and basically get a waiver in 1 week ahead that I'm going to bench, so I don't have to worry about that for the following game week. That's not something that normally happens because often I'm fighting week to week to make sure I've got 3 good defensive fixtures, let alone 5. But there are times when all of a sudden you look at your team and think, wow, my fixtures look amazing. I don't actually need this many good fixtures. What can I do about the upcoming game weeks? And that is it. If you follow this strategy, you'll go through the entire season making sure that your waivers are strong from week to week and your team always looks sharp. There's never anything as frustrating as trying to chase the person that's top of the league, and every time you look at their team when the game week starts you think, it looks good again this week. How are they doing this? It's because they're making good waivers all year round. It's the absolute worst thing you can do in draft is to draft a good team and then just sit on your laurels and slowly give back the advantage that you'd got at the draft. If you are thinking about all of this seems like a lot of work, every week I create a waiver cheat sheet for each game week that will give you, it won't tell you the answers, but it will give you all the information you need, all the data, the odds, the chances, the fixtures, everything you need to make good decisions about your waivers. And that is available for patrons every single week. If you enjoy the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and we'll see you next time.